welcome back to the SCL desk as we've got our SCL qualifiers underway. We're here in the finals, and my name is F. We still got our resident Xbox Pro and analyst here.
X-Pro. Washed up here, fam.
Well, I don't know. Up here, you've got what it takes. You know, I'm not gonna rash you like the other guys.
Oh, thank you.
I'll give you some respect here.
That's why I love F.
Exactly. See. Somebody's got to love me. So we're moving on to the finals. We got to watch Airday carry one of the stronger teams, consider one of the stronger teams on the Xbox, even without Weekend. And then they got Weekend, one of the XPC pros, and still couldn't make it past the Clow.
The biggest thing here was, I think, the switch. I mean, it was a fairly quick switch from solo to jungle, or jungle to solo for Chapo. I think he did a great job. I think Chapo's solo, give it a week, and it'll be like 10 times better than what it was. Solo back Koiz and First Blood. Made great decisions. Like twice in a row, we just saw him kind of give up kills for no reason, where I think if he had decision-making not to do that, it would have helped his team kind of spiral into victory. The biggest thing there was we didn't see too much pressure out of Weekend. Maybe he hasn't played console in a while, so we didn't see too much happen in terms of like Weekend doing too much in the jungle there, and nothing came out of the dual lane that was kind of worthwhile. Gustavo made some decent taunts here and there, and Zach was okay.
Right.
But the biggest thing was that Clow's team looked a lot more. They came ready to win.
Yeah, that's the key for me. Most Wanted is really looking pretty crazy. So let's just get into picks and bans right away. Team Eager on the left side. These guys are definitely one of the stronger teams. They've been strong ever since last season before we had our little pro league coming on right here. And now Most Wanted Esports. Most Wanted is sort of a collection of all these guys that have been good in the console world, and now they've come together to form a squad.
The Geb and the Guan Yu band right away. Looks like Eager are afraid of their own Geb play, as Jellly is not going to be playing that. And I love this Kronos taken, which has been such a flavor pick on Xbox, really.
I mean, it's just a good god in general, but you see it happen. You see it happen on the Xbox scene just so often, and really, it's driven by the players that are here. Transonics can play a little bit of the Kronos.
Oh, that's his like bread and butter. It's like these mage 80 carries, the Kronos, but Kwong locked away first, and I love this. Take it away from Adjust. We're going to limit him down. And really, when we talk about Eager, we usually see like these 3-4-man tank squads. This is kind of a different change up in style. This could potentially be their downfall if not played correctly. But after Adjust's performance, I think they're cool with taking it away from him, regardless of how they perform.
Exactly. Adjust, yes, that is the same Adjust from the world of PC. Previously on the squad of Enemy, and then Denial. Mask has replaced him twice now. So he moved over. Yeah, so he moved over to the world of Xbox. The bans are out. No Geb, no Kronos, no Soul, no Guan. Kwong is picked out before Team Eager. Option over to Most Wanted for the next 2 shots.
Yeah, looks like the picking phase is still here, and it's really when you Most Wanted Esports. So let's talk about this. Clow on these aggressive mid lanes. So when I was playing against Clow, we used to scrim Most Wanted Esports. Not exactly the same lineup, but it was Clow and friends, right?
Yeah.
And the biggest thing was that Clow, I learned so much off him mid lane.
Really?
Yeah, a big reason, like, for example, I was playing Hades, and a big reason why I played so much Kukulkan was because that was one of the only mid lanes I could play reliably that could deal with Clow's aggression in the mid lane. So the biggest thing here is I want to see if Clow goes for those like Neith mids, or I love seeing Clow on this aggressive stuff, as it looks like we have a change up. Soul is actually going to be the first pick here. Kwong was not picked.
Yeah, a little bit of a technical difficulty. The first ban the second ban coming out from Most Wanted was the Kwong, and Soul will be the first pick for Eager, which means the 2 picks on the side of Most Wanted are Khepri and Odin. So 2 very powerful picks in general. No, this is good on Xbox. No, this is good here. These are just 2 characters that are great at the smite.
They're too good, very effective, very easy to use, and it's clear immediately when you see Khepri, Odin. It's like, hey, these guys are here simply to revive people. They're simply here to cage people in, and you understand their team function. As Batz, Athena getting locked in, lots of disruption, initiation, and global rotation coming out from the Eager squad.
Batz is a god as Zeus is selected for Most Wanted. That goes along with the aggressive mid laners that you were talking about for Clow. But Batz is a god that works out well when the other team has a clear game plan. And Most Wanted, as you said, it's very obvious what they want to do. They want to revive people. They want to drop the ring. They have their game plan in Batz. As soon as the ring comes down, Fear No Evil is going to come out, and whatever Most Wanted wants to do is going to hopefully go awry as far as Team Eager is concerned.
I dig this ISIS ban out of Most Wanted Esports. Let's take out the only way, so when we talk about Zeus, right? Zeus isn't picked because of X, Y, and Z reason, but the biggest thing is that Zeus has a hard time surviving in a team fight. He has no natural escape. He's very close range, full damage mage. If you want damage, you want to bang for your buck, you pick Zeus every single time, but you have to understand that you're going into melee auto attack range, right? Not even melee auto attack, but like a hunter range of auto attacking compared to most mages where they're further than a hunter in terms of range. So Zeus is up close and personal, no escape, but he brings the damage. So Cloud taking out the only other mage that could effectively deal with Zeus in terms of pushing and aggression, which is Isis, and I dig that.
The Thor is going to be selected as well for Most Wanted, so just a little bit more protection for that Zeus that finds himself in trouble a lot. And Neith and Bellona will be selected by Eager, so either Neith or Soul winds up in the mid lane. And last pick going the way to Most Wanted.
Yeah, they have a couple of different options here. This will be most likely the Hunter. I would love to see Hui just to synergize the whole comp together, but Hui is banned away. So Xbalanque, interesting choice here. Yeah,
that's your pick.
I mean, I dig it because when we talk about Xbalanque, and this is a big reason why I played Xbalanque 8 games in a row to an SPL first place. Wink, wink. But really, the biggest thing was that it brings so much disengagement, a global AoE darkness. Imagine being blinded for a certain period of time globally. It's a big deal, especially in engaging team fights where really half of SPL competitive play is who engages first.
Right.
So being able to disrupt that is timeless value. And the biggest thing also is that Xbalanque does have a downside. His laning phase is poo-poo. It's garbage. It is horrible. You have no clear. You have no way of sustaining yourself. You get destroyed, and you never, ever get clear. Most hunters eventually, after a certain level, can full clear the wave. Xbalanque doesn't have that luxury. He's out there grinding, poison darting the creeps. He has the worst time clearing that wave.
So we'll see how Most Wanted and their hunter will fare on the Xbalanque Transonics, of course. This is really a character that Trans likes, so we've seen it. Don't be surprised if you catch the Fatalis coming out on this character as well. Definitely something that Transonics is pretty well known for, actually, in the console community. And
I love the meditation on Wubbin right now. We're going to talk a little bit about relics.
Right.
And it's really, everything's pretty standard. We do see the sprint onto Delta, or not Delta, Jellly. Jellly is able to get some sprint, maybe to get some engagement power or to disengage. But really the biggest thing here is this meditation. Sustain the Xbalanque. If anything crazy goes down, it looks like they'll be able to kind of meditate through it. And meditation baits, it's a big talking point. Sure.
We'll keep an eye on how that one works out. And right here again, this is the very standard start. AirCougar is going to be playing that Soul in the long lane, which means Delta Marine takes the Neith to the mid. So little old school mid Neith we've got here going.
I dig this because really the biggest point of having Neith in the mid lane over your Soul is the early game aggression. You want to be able to aggress and kind of have a chance of fighting where Soul never has a chance because she has such a hard time building her passive, which is the majority of her damage in the mid lane compared to Duo.
AirCougar putting that on display right now. A lot of damage going into Wubbin. Cougar suffers a little bit, but he'll be all right in the long run.
And this is the big thing with the Khepri, which is why I love the Xbalanque pickup. It's going to be able to carry Xbalanque at least through the hardest stages of the game for him, which is the early game laning phase.
He just has the wave clear to support what Xbalanque does.
Yeah, damage reduction, can revive him, can pull if they were to get too close. He has so much peel and disengage, but AirCougar recognizes he can definitely get lane control. The dash is in Wubbin.
This is the first blood. If they can reach it, AirCougar trying to find the hits, and he does. AirCougar puts Team Eager on the board very early on. 125 on the clock, and now they're looking directly at Trans. Puts out a lot of damage, but not enough to find a kill.
Yeah, the sprint was more than enough there to pick up the kill. Myflin taking too much damage, just... Oh! That was almost mechanics. Not quite enough damage. And great, that was a great double tap on... I mean, I know PC pros that can't do that on PC.
That's exactly.
Adjust does that on Xbox.
And that's the thing. Adjust... his mechanics, his gameplay, playing Smite was never called into question. When he was released from Enemy, one of the things the guys on Enemy said was, the communication just isn't there, and there was really no follow up when he moved off of the second team. But so nobody's ever questioned this man's mechanics, and it seems like those translate pretty well onto the controller.
I mean, it's a pretty big deal. Like, he just must have major communication problems, not being able to relay his thoughts into speech,
Right.
which is actually a huge deal in a 5v5 MOBA. You'd be surprised. Like, there's people that are picked up that are considerably worse because their communication is better in professional play. So Adjust, despite the fact that he's so gifted when it comes to, turning on the keyboard and setting up plays, he just can't quite make the cut when it comes to a world champion PC team.
Jellly goes in for the taunt, nothing of consequence though. Wubbin also misses his pluck, so nothing big over here in the long lane, but the ultimate from Athena is going somewhere else because Thor shows up. Very interesting play, but I like it coming out from Jellly over there. He sees Thor's in the air, so he ults his soul.
Yeah, and I dig that. I think they're just trying to set up for the Thor play, but the Zeus ult is out. Jellly taking too much damage and immediately blown up. He has no way of getting out. Cloud credit with the kill. The Humbat's ult there to kind of disengage, but
it was kind of just looked like celebration, honestly. Unfortunately, that was his
Jelly's
own
dead.
teammate. Yeah. Cloud makes a great rotation, very important rotation that Cloud came over there, because we see that from time to time where the teams will engage on the opponent boars, and it's a 2v2. There's this awkward little dance that goes on. Maybe the jungler shows up, but Cloud showed up, and nobody expected him, and that was the key.
And that was huge too, Cloud rotating. I mean, so we didn't touch on this before. Cloud went power pot, so he's able to get not only the rotation in, but it steals boars, set his teams up for victory, and rotates back to mid lane to farm out. So really, while he was 400 gold behind, he effectively makes it up a little bit by, getting a little bit of pressure and momentum here, building up for his team.
Jellly taunting on cooldown pretty much. Every time we see him, we get to see a taunt come out of that Athena. Not going to take Most Wanted away from the mid Harpies, though. Left side goes to the red squad. Red Harpies, or right side Harpies, excuse me, are up. But Team Eager does not have the board presence right now to really chase it. Taunted out as a Just. He'll be isolated. Khepri ult used.
Yeah, Wubbin a little bit quick. Didn't recognize how much damage output was going to be there. He misses the pull. Mid Harpies are being contested. Great Thor ult on reaction. The Odin cage is out. It looks like Eager kind of disengaged from that. And what could have been some kills turns out to be a disengage from both teams.
Cloud's ultimate just came up, so if that fight continued on, that would have been problems for Team Eager. But a strong disengage.
When we talk about the 3v3 matchup in the mid lane, usually the jungle, mid, and support, for people that don't know, group up in the mid lane, push so they can get pressure to take objectives, right? So when we talk about matchups in the 3v3, I mean, Athena, Neith, Batz has no right fighting a Zeus, Khepri, Thor. Like, that is insane.
Well, so, yeah, exactly, because the side of Neith is great single target damage, and so you might get a pick. But most Wanted Esports, they're just going to drop these giant circles down. Thor's going to control you, and it's just going to be an issue.
And the biggest thing, you want to isolate at least one of them, but it's so hard to do that when they're grouped up all the time. Another boar invade coming out. Or actually, no, just confirming their boars, AirCougar and Jellly. Doing a good job, just kind of controlling the Xbalanque.
Very even game here early on. 1 kill apiece. And our team separated by virtually nothing. So tie game all considered, and take a look at that player damage. Really no surprise to see Zeus doing so well. We'll see if he continues on and where his itemization choices go. Looks like he's building into those boots before the Doom Orb, which I absolutely, normally I like to see the Doom Orb first, Allied, but on a god like Zeus, I absolutely want to see the boots first.
I would love to see that, Dynasty Plate Helm. I would love to see that be built first, but I think Clow might be feeling himself. He might even go CDR, really. I'm curious how he decides to build this, because Doom Orb Zeus is scary. That's a scary area. You can very easily, you get sneezed on and you're at half health by mid-game. So the biggest thing is, how's Cloud's positioning going to be? Will Wubbin be able to save Cloud from taking too much damage, and can his team help him do the most damage he can going into mid-game?
There's been a big fight over here on the right side. Myflin shows his face, though, and that's going to send Odin back to base. Now, Delta Marine stuck in the thunderstorm. Cloud takes down the Marine. Easy peasy, pretty much.
And Cloud just dishing out so much damage. Jellly was not able to respond in time, and the biggest thing there was that Cloud was getting all these kills. Really making the Zeus work. I love it. Right from the power pot start, obviously Cloud's goal is early game aggression, setting the pace of the game. And really, when we talk about power pot starts, a lot of people that go power pot don't effectively do that, especially compared to non-power pot starts. You want to set the pace. A taunt comes out, Humbat's ult is on Cloud. Cloud is in such a tight position, but the chain lightning's good, and he might actually so much damage coming out. Cloud taking the brunt of all the ults.
Problem for Cloud is he gets Neith ulted, but he does find a way out, Wubbin now right on top of his target. Long-range stun coming out of a Just, and that's going to split up the team fight. And with the teams split up, there is no more aggression. So Most Wanted just retreats, and they pick up the mid Harpies.
Yeah, and the biggest thing there was Cloud was able to wiggle his way out of danger, taking way too much damage. I mean, he was in a tight spot, just wanted to confirm the red buff, but he was able to walk out.
Look at this cheeky play.
Yeah, this is insane that you have no idea. Eager completely caught blindsided as Most Wanted Esports take the first goal for of the game.
So that worked because there's no reason they should have been able to get gold.
Yeah.
Everybody was just around by the red buff, right? There was a team fight 5 seconds ago at the red buff on the Gold Fury side, and so nobody expects the Gold Fury attempt. That's why that one worked.
Yeah, and really the lack of vision on the dual lane side of the map, and look, I mean, look at the wards and the vision out for Most Wanted Esports. They have a ward behind the red buff, so recognizing there's no way of Eager responding to this, just gun. I mean, it was a good heads-up play.
Yeah. And of course, it also works out with the composition that Most Wanted has Neith, Soul, and Neith, Soul, or my mistake.
Oh, catches the dash as the taunt comes out the beads, and the ult on defense, and that's a huge waste of relics. But Myflin, whew, Cloud just dishing out the damage.
Yeah, that Odin early on helps out getting those early objectives. Able to just ring the enemy out if they actually do show up, and of course, Bird Bomb being so powerful early on. So, Gold Fury going the way of Most Wanted for our first tangible lead of the game, 2,000 gold on the side of the red squad. Dwurst has been really the subject of everybody, what people have been talking about Allied. What's the major difference between Dwurst here versus last year?
So really, Dwurst, especially with a little bit of a mega training, a mega beatdown, really, has evolved. He's taken his game to the next level and has become such a huge force. When we see Eager in a lot of these games, we see Dwurst really kind of making the key rotations and the plays needed. Just actually taking too much damage, forced to actually beads and dash out, or using his hammer for a teleport, and Cloud forced to waste his ult in defense in case they committed to adjust. So it was good for Cloud to do that.
Exactly,
it just was unfortunate, really.
Yeah, you don't want to see the ult go for nothing. And as the Hunters try to make the rotation, they're going to catch each other out. Athena highlighted onto his Hunter, and here comes the kill on the Transonics. Eager's going to have to wait out the Khepri ultimate. There's a taunt. Khepri ult is already down, but there's no way to get the damage. And that's going to be a safe Hunter. Now Wubbin's on the prowl looking for 3 members that are low, but it just comes down from the sky, gets a strong stun. Eager, still low. Can't find the damage onto the monkey. Here comes Odin. Matt Koiz takes out Myflin.
Yeah, Matt Koiz able to jump into the mid lane there, stomping on Myflin. The chase is on. Adjusted. He's a little bit out of position. Bellona ult. AirCougar credit with the double. And Adjust, I felt like he overstayed his welcome there, chasing down what seemed like could have been a kill. Just no team follow-up behind him.
Odin out of nowhere. Odin out of nowhere. That's the danger of that bird. It's just so bursty, and by nature of a jump, right? It comes out of nowhere.
Yeah, and it was great that Matt was able to make that key rotation, even if Dwurst was on his tail, taking the initiative, rotating, helping his teammates out in an intense team fight like that. But 10 minutes in, it's still anyone's game.
Oh, very much so. It was a 2,000 gold lead earlier. Now a little closer, a little bit under 2K, but still very close. AirCougar versus Transonics is an interesting matchup that has been going pretty much back and forth, honestly. 3 kills on Soul and 3 assists on the Xbalanque.
When I think of 80 carry Titans, I personally think of Trans, AirCougar, and Cog Paul in the Xbox scene. They are the Zatman, Barracuda, and Snoopy, right, of this scene right now. So
what's fun about that is Transonics actually was native to the Xbox.
Yeah, and that's interesting too, because there's not so many people that are just completely, they started from the bottom and turned up on Xbox alone. Like, most people have a PC background of some sort, whether they've logged into Smite in 2014 once. Regardless, they have seen PC Smite. Trans, my man just can't afford a PC. Like, really, that's what it comes down to. He does everything on the Xbox, and when Smite came to Xbox, he was more than ready to hop aboard, as he quickly became the best I want to say the best, or top 3 at the very least, Hunter players on Xbox.
Yeah, he's definitely proven himself, not just here, but also at a couple of lands as well. Definitely has what it takes. And you know, Allied, you know where he's from?
New York.
He's a fellow New Yorker.
Yeah.
I mean, there's something about it, man.
Hey, I think it's also the fact that, like, oh,
Cloud's in
taking
trouble.
some tower shots, but no. Oh, never mind. The Neith is looking for it. He actually. All right. I mean, there's no follow-up there. Delta Marine just kind of wastes his ult, but maybe they're looking for a tower dive. Cloud quickly running behind the tier 1 tower. Myflin going for it? No, he just wasted it. Okay, so Eager just getting some good pressure out there. The taunt's good. Adjust, force the beads, and most Wanted Esports are on the defensive.
Just and Khepri underneath this tower. I don't know if they're going to be able to hold against 4. Myflin gets rooted out, so he won't be able to help on the tower damage. Tower down to half. Thor in the air. Looking for the kill onto Epsilon Soul. Can't find it. She'll wiggle her way out. Not a big deal at all.
Yeah, Jellly looking to teleport. Meanwhile, in the dual lane, cheeky Transonics doesn't even rotate at all and gets the tower. It was great presence on recognizing, trusting his team. Delta Marine picks up Adjust, however. In the mid lane, the Odin cage is out. Jellly completely out of position. He's still in the cage, can't get out. He's getting slapped down by Wubbin, and Clow is credited with the kill. Big trade there, but really mostly in most Wanted Esports' favor as Transonics picks up a tier 1.
Huge play right there, and the key, you know, I posed the question, is Thor and Khepri going to be enough to guard this tower? And it was, and that's what allowed Transonics to get that tower on the left-hand side. Most Wanted Esports, this worked the last time, not sure if it's going to work this time. Myflin brought down so low that Khepri ult forced out.
Yeah,
Nope.
the Humbat's jump is clean, and with Eager forcing Koiz not to leave back, but a huge
Wow.
Zeus ult, and Dwurst goes down, and really, Clow is just out of control. And
He's running it, man.
I love it. I love the Zeus pick. I felt like it was pretty key. And now Delta Marine and AirCougar looking to defend the Gold Fury.
Matt Koiz trying to zone out. He does successfully, but his teammates have leashed the Gold Fury. Now it's all about the kill. Jellly in some trouble. Triple taunt. Meanwhile, Delta poking down Adjust on the front. Transonics gets the kill. That's one for his passive. So a little bit of extra power for the Most Wanted Hunter. And still trying to aggress on the Gold Fury. Stomping down Myflin. Matt Koiz really bringing the pain.
I mean, he has 5 levels of Myflin.
Wow.
He could actually, doesn't even need to fully jump there. He could lift a foot up and stomp, and that would be more than enough damage to force him away.
Soul's here.
It looks like the steal. Nope, not quite. Most Wanted to actually get the Gold Fury. Cheeky AirCougar just couldn't quite get the damage in time.
Almost got there, too.
It was
looked
close.
like it was
I
going
respect
for
the
it.
attempt.
Oh, definitely. Absolutely. Especially with a god like Soul that you can give it a shot and then wiggle your way out with your ethereal form. So, you know, as long as you have an escape, I always say go for it.
Yeah, absolutely. 4-6. Most Wanted with the Gold Fury right there. 3.5k gold in the lead. 5.3k experience. They're doing a great job controlling Eager, and really Eager until like it came to Worlds time was kind of like the dominant performers.
Wow. Transonics right there. You are the Xbalanque player, so I'm going to let you highlight how difficult what Transonics just did was.
Recognized that he was getting aggressed on, saw the Soul ult, dashed, and as the dash was coming out, the Neith ult hit during the immunity frames. Transonics was able to time it to back up, not get stunned, and avoid everything, and doesn't even need to blow beads or his ult.
Exactly.
So.
If that stun landed, and just to put this in the frame, if that stun landed, that was likely a dead Xbalanque. Soul would have been able to catch up, throw the ability out there with that distance.
Especially with full Doom Orb and Poly,
Yep.
AirCougar being 3-0 has more than enough damage to take care of anyone in his path.
Exactly. So very important that the dashers, because only half of that move, that's the crazy part about Rising Jaguar, only half of the move gives you CC immunity.
Yeah, you really have to time it, which is why like
Yeah.
sometimes like I would not even get beads against Ares, because if you time it correctly, you can survive. But Myflin, he's completely on the back foot. He's taking so much damage in these team fights. He's getting initiated on nonstop, and he really hasn't got anything going. I feel like I haven't seen him do anything for the longest time in these team fights.
Exactly, and that can happen to Batz because he's so on-off switch, right? He's a light switch. It'll either change the team fight completely or it won't matter at all. And then after, you know, he's just kind of overhanding, smashing, right? So.
Yeah, the biggest thing is he really needs to find some way to get his ult in. The dash is good. Two-man
like that
taunt.
play.
Looks like Wubbin taking too much damage. The Clowwwww is out. The cage is even better. Cougar and friends taking too much damage.
Good aggression coming out from Most Wanted, but Team Eager reads it and decide to go in themselves. 1 kill for Delta Marine already from onto Adjust. And there's the rally here. Great ultimate from Bellona. Triple taunt out of the Athena as well, but Wubbin, a little too quick, takes out Jellly with the help of Matt Koiz. AirCougar's here by himself trying to push out the enemy. Bellona and the Monkey a little bit behind her when Most Wanted was up front. And the defensive set is good enough. Team Eager come up on top of that one.
That was a trade, jungler for support, but really the biggest thing there was Wubbin lived with 1 HP, baby rage.
Yep.
Eager just couldn't quite get it. Trans doing a nice spread of poison damage to darts, more than enough to keep Eager at bay, and he dashes away swiftly as the reset is going to continue here, as both teams are at neutral.
So Gold Fury not up just yet, still a couple of minutes before that guy respawns. That girl, I suppose.
It looks like before Gold Fury were to spawn, Most Wanted Esports want to push down the mid tier 1 tower. We got a little bit of map control. As you can see with their wards, I mean, the struggle is on. We have like 4 sentries in kind of a line cut across the map. So with that mid tower down, that creates more space for Most Wanted to get their ward aggression so they can have better vision on the enemy side of the map.
Such an interesting way to ward, like you said, in a straight line, but this diagonal line.
Yeah, it's like diagonal.
Yeah, so it's interesting because it starts up on the left side, very deep in their own jungle, just sort of help for Transonics. And then as you get closer to Fire Giant, the wards become more and more aggressive, just opening that avenue for the rotations out of the solo lane to happen. And we've seen how Matt Koiz has been able to make that impact.
And you can tell, Matt, this is Most Wanted's game plan as the 5-man grouping here is in mid lane. Recognizing the tower is so low, no one's in position. And yeah, Most Wanted Esports going to open up a complete pathway here as they pressure the tier 2 tower.
Still here, 4 members from both teams playing in the mid lane. Solo laners in their own world, but a retreat from Most Wanted. Not quite. They're going to play in the jungle, it looks like. Still being aggressive, or at least looking like it at the very least. Myflin on top of Adjust gets immediately stunned out, chunked down to half. There's help onto Transonics, though, out of nowhere from the right-hand side. A separate team fight engages. Myflin gets landed on by Adjust. Not enough damage yet. There it is. Clow over the top. You're fried. Myflin goes down.
Yeah, I love the sprint coming out here. Adjust, pops the Sanctuary early. The cage is out. AirCougar is the target, but no follow-up as McCoy backs up swiftly. And I think this is what Most Wanted needs to do, to take that 1 pick. But now remind, Jelly's there with the 2-man taunt. Adjust forced to beat, and Clow is out of position. The ult was good, but there was no follow-up. Dwurst credit with the shutdown.
Biggest problem there for me, Zeus always needs a partner.
Yes.
Zeus always needs to operate on the buddy system. He's by himself, he's going to get hurt. And right now, Bellona's the one by himself. A little bit of a different story there. Bellona can handle it, and handle it she will. Wubbin goes down. Help from AirCougar on that one. Dwurst forces the fight. I definitely choose that word intentionally. Forces that fight.
Yeah, and the big thing there, Jellly, these taunts have been absolutely amazing.
Yep.
Jellly able to really push the issue as he just keeps taunting the key targets here. Dwurst now, he's getting chased out. Just might be able to get that trans. I mean, there's a split here. We have the cage over and Gold Fear to reset, and now the chase is on. Dwurst barely able to get out. Baby rage as Just goes in the air.
Just go to the sky. Will he go for it? I don't really know if he can. So probably just going to play it a little bit safe, and he does. Lands in his own jungle.
That would have been crazy if he went for it. That would have been like, all right, Just, let's calm it down.
Let's bring it down a notch.
Insane, though, because no one goes for the Go Fury. I mean, Eager reset that, which is good because Adjust was able to keep them off, and they decided to save Dwurst instead of going for the gold.
Protect the teammate over going for the gold. Is that
Yeah,
the right
I
call?
respect that, especially with Dwurst. He's such a big soul laner. Having the ability to have him come into the fights via teleport is huge, but Goldfear is getting blown up here by Most Wanted.
Very low already, 30%. There's 3 members of Eager. There's the ultimate out of the Monkey. Most Wanted get it anyway, despite Team Eager's good attempt. Now it looks like it's a full-on retreat, but Jelly's going to say no. Taunt onto Wubbin, still trying to find a way out. 3 members of Most Wanted go in the way of the mid, and Athena's going to ult onto Dwurst, which allows the tower dive to come out, but Eager opts not to.
Yeah, the tier 1 here is going to get pressure. Just could aggress onto this great two-man stun. Cougar below half. The jump in's clean. Koiz taunted, however, he's taking too much damage. He's going to have to pop that shield, and Koiz is barely, he does actually go down. Myflin's overhand smash more than enough. No follow-up yet again. I mean, the Cloud didn't have his abilities available. Lubin is forced to play as a backline defender for Cloud. And now Eager going to take that and turn this around immediately as Adjust is in the air. Cloud is being aggressed on. They could peel for him. The land in place. Myflin and Jellly go down. Trans and Adjusted credited with that kill. Now Trans is in. He's dashing in, looking for Delta Marine. The backflip is on. Great sprint. They're looking. He's hitting the auto attack. It's Transonics with his double kill.
Ouch.
3 passive stacks as Eager not only lose, they gain the tier 2, but they lose their whole team.
How big was that play out of Adjust? Out of nowhere, just comes on down. Really helps that situation over on their left-hand side as Adjust was trying to help out his buddy Clow.
I mean, if you're Eager, you knew that like Adjust was in the air. I mean, they were actually right under him. I mean, maybe so for Xbox. At least last time I played, right? Restricted camera pitch could be a factor in why they got baited into that very easily. They can't look up in the air for Thor. They may have heard it. They don't know exactly where he is. So that could have played a big thing going into that. But the biggest thing there was Myflin and Jellly overstayed their welcome, chased for the young Clow, and Clow was able to turn it with the help of Adjust.
Dwurst getting aggressed on in his own jungle here. Adjust really wants to make his name known. A lot of damage coming out from the Thor here. Purification used as the taunt was again very strong from Jellly. Right-hand tower though, false. Most Wanted. Very good at taking objectives when the enemy least expects it.
Yeah, the aggression's out. The Zeus all a little bit off the mark, but Adjust.
Starting these fights so well. Team Eager has to stop for a second thanks to Transonics ult. Damage on the tower, but Myflin on the back line just drops the ultimate. That'll save his team a couple of seconds, but is it enough? There really wasn't any follow-up, and now Most Wanted pushing the gas. Ultimate's going to hit Clow on the backside, but he doesn't mind. He's taking 0 damage outside of that ultimate, so that's going to be a dead tower. Most Wanted still pushing the gas.
And Most Wanted able to get the tier 2 there. Dwurst is forced on defensive. The big question is, do they go for Phoenix or back up for map control? And it looks like they want it. They're pushing the gas pedal down as Most Wanted are pressuring the Phoenix here that very easily could go for it. There's only 2 creeps out. They need this full wave, and still is a risky call. I mean, Eager,
yeah, that's rough.
They're healing up, and now they decide to call it away. And I want to touch up on, so you mentioned that Cloud took 0 damage. Well, look at his build. Dynasty Plate Helm, which I'm just going to say I called it right at the beginning of Season 3. Oh, never mind, the sneaky Tom Clancy able to almost grab Delta Marine.
Oh, from the left. No one knew that was coming. Jellly grabs 2, Adjust in the air. Watch out for this to come right down in this corridor. And he does, right on top, inside the Odin cage. Jelly's not going anywhere. Grabbed out by Wubbin. And the body block is on point from Matt Koiz. Great play from the solo laner. Khepri ult on Trans. He's going to go deep, and he gets saved. Wonderful, wonderful communication coming out from the duo lane. Adjusted picks up Myflin. Now Most Wanted still going in.
Yeah, that was crazy. Most Wanted Esports riding at the momentum. And now Adjusted is barely going to go into the Zeus ult. Is good. Dwurst is taking too much damage. He has 3 stacks of lightning. Will it be enough? He's getting slapped down by the power of Cloud, but it is not. He's forced Sanctuary away, and now Most Wanted grab themselves a tier 2. Just looking for the double tap, waits, but the Sanctuary is even better, and Delta Marine picks up the kill. That was beautiful by Cougar. Able to Sanctuary immediately after the stun, and then lives, and Delta Marine picks up Adjust. That was crazy. Crazy turnaround. Could have been a Phoenix push, too.
Yep. Beautiful play coming out, and again, that's just a combination. Eager, they're really working together as a team. Delta Marine and AirCougar combining with the two auto attacks. Very powerful stuff. 25 minutes on the clock here, folks, and Most Wanted leading by a decent amount, 8,000. That's a strong lead, but Eager proving that doesn't really matter to them. They're just defending these Phoenixes.
They're making them struggle to push these objectives, and the big thing there, Most Wanted, is just they're having a really hard time, even despite the fact that like, that's more than a good enough lead to push down these tier 2s. That's more than good enough to confirm objectives like Gold Fear, but Eager's making them work for it, making them sweat. And it's showing as it's still only 13-9.
Eager's going to make them sweat?
Yeah.
Sweat till they can't sweat? Okay. You remember that one. That's a block party favorite, right? Right? That's a block party favorite.
Most wanted to actually get the goal for Eager. Completely blindsided. I think they're just more worried about the Fire Giant map control.
Yeah.
But
That's exactly what happens here when you're in the late game. You send about 4 players over to the Fire Giant. And tell your hunter to see what he can do. Jellly in some trouble. Walks away, not a big deal. But now getting aggressive, finds Clow by himself. A lot of damage on the mid laner. Clow forced into the ult. Can he get the kill on a Jellly? Not quite. Very low. Here comes a Just. Finishes the job. Teamwork. And now Cougar's in some trouble. Can he find it? Matt Koiz lands on an immune soul. He's going to chase it down. Slow's good. Couple of basics. Matt Koiz on top of the Cougar.
In the dual lane, however, we have Trans doing what he does best. 1v1ing as we see that Myflin is not going to be able to actually defend the tier 2. He actually decides to back, and Trans gets a free tier 2 as this team fight goes on in a 4v4.
And big part that Most Wanted is keeping Dwurst occupied. Trans might have been able to keep on pushing, but decides to join his squad over here. The call is, let's win the fight and go for the Fire Giant. Delta Marine gonna be immuned out by a Just's Sanctuary. Ring off the mark. That's not gonna help, but Wubbin's pull certainly will. Here comes Myflin, great ultimate to provide help for his teammate, and Dwurst gets out of there.
Yeah, huge engagement. Matt Koiz jumping, slapping, spinning, but no ult available. He needs to wait another 5 seconds. But yeah, Most Wanted Esports not only getting the tier 2 in the dual lane with so much pressure. Transonics dual lane pressure is amazing, but now they set themselves quite nicely with more than enough map control to get the next Fire Giant.
Oh, very interesting. Most Wanted back as a unit. Cloud's still around. He's not taking out the Fire Giant by himself. He's going to go for these elementals. But like I said, by himself, that's a problem for Zeus. He's going to be forced into purification off of a good taunt from Jellly, which might be a problem for him later on.
I love the patience change from Clow as the Just lands on Myflin. Myflin completely caught with his pants down, forced to jump away. Oh, nice wall, but I don't know if they'll actually be able to go for it. Teleports out Odin Cage, even better. Dwurst, Jellly, completely caught inside, can't actually escape, but there's not really much DPS output.
Grabs Jellly, gonna get jumped on by Matt Koiz. Damage coming out, not enough to take down the support. Different story for the Hunter as it just puts a cork in AirCougar's damage. 2 different directions now. Delta Marine getting chased by Matt Koiz, everybody else pretty much chasing Dwurst. And Clow chasing the objective. Fire Giant being aggressed on as a whole by Most Wanted. No way Eager's got a chance to even look at this one. Fire Giant taken down by Most Wanted as they lead the game by over 10,000 gold and a Fire Giant.
Yeah, Matt Koiz zoning out the rest of Eager, and Eager forced to kind of back up here. They were already losing that fight. They have no way contesting, and now the Phoenix dives are coming up next as Most Wanted pushes the right Phoenix.
Damage coming out already, bringing the Phoenix.
I love the cage.
There's Transonics. Exactly. And the cage, perfect placement. It's quite literally impossible for Eager to come around in that corridor. And now Most Wanted can just get aggressive, but it backfires. A Just gets taken out thanks to the big ultimate from Myflin. Matt Koiz jumping forward, takes Dwurst down, but they're right by the fountain, so not a big deal for the guys on Eager. Sprint is popped to try and save a Firebird, but they can't save mid. Most Wanted shifting towards the left-hand side. Grab Wubbin, looking for the fight.
Yeah, so not able to actually connect. Dwurst is trying to run away, but Trans picks up Jellly on the backside. He's swinging.
Dwurst!
He's swinging. He gets the double kill. He's pushing in. Fatal is too good. Cougar forced to go. Never mind. It's over.
That's it. That's it. No more, no thank you, says the other side. Ouch. Cloud's team looking very, 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 very strong.
Yeah, no, that was a great showing out of Clow, especially really able to set up his team with great rotations early game, abusing the power pot Zeus for the first couple minutes in the game, and he transitioned that with a do more pen boots into a Winged Blade Dynasty Plate Helm, recognizing that, hey, it's better to be alive in these fights doing a little bit less damage than to be dead doing the most damage.
You do 0 DPS while dead. I've been trying to explain that to people since 2004. So a little bit of interesting. I like how the the handoff worked in that game. We saw Clow, who's like, all right, I'm Zeus. It was kind of backwards because Zeus you don't think of as an early or mid game guy, but he goes to power pots, right? And the early game pressure comes from Zeus, and he's dealing all with that. So Transonics just sits there and has a good time with Khepri. And then once the late game comes on, I warned you about the Fatalis.
Yeah.
Trans just comes out, tosses the bolas, and it's over.
Yeah, he's able to slap down the enemies, bowling people.
Yep.
People, but really, the biggest thing is his pressure in the duel lane, able to take the tier 2. AirCougar wasn't there to defend,
Yep.
and Myflin being so severely far behind for most of the game, drops not only the tier 2, but loses all that map control as well.
Yeah, that was one of the bigger, more unfortunate points for that game. I think Eager as a whole played relatively well, but Myflin just left a little bit to be desired, honestly, coming out from the jungler on that side. But we'll take a look at how well Cloud did in this match. We mentioned his name so many times, and he's the captain of this squad, and he showed for good reason why.
Yeah, Cloud boys really able to position correctly, and really is a huge change from last year's Cloud. Last year's Cloud a little bit sloppy, a little bit over aggressive, falling out of position, but this is a new Cloud, more reformed. He's calculated, setting up the correct plays, and really his aggression's definitely noted. I knew that Cloud has been getting better. He's such a big grinder in the scene, and to see all that grinding, all that training finally pay off, Cloud's looking to take his this tournament finals win.
You know, it's interesting as we're watching the highlight reel of Cloud. You've spent a little bit of time with Cloud on the Xbox side of the world, and something that Cloud has a little bit of a reputation, and you seem to be seeing a very different story about Cloud. What can you tell us about Cloud, the pro player, as opposed to the Cloud that people know?
So Cloud's a big old troll, and really the biggest thing is that he's just a big memer, as I like to call the young people of Smite, who like to meme. But the biggest thing is that Cloud knows when to turn it off, and I feel like a professional player shows great amount of respect. A lot of people don't get that, but he shows a great amount of respect to his opponents and his teammates, and shows up on time, and he's ready to play, ready to practice, ready to improve. Obviously, that's not always the case. I've heard stories of other things that may have happened, but the biggest thing is that he shows up, and it showed this game that all that practice, all that really gearing up, it shows as Cloud really he set his team up really well that game to go maybe 2-0 in the finals.